Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Covering both sides of the big issues with the analysis you trust on News Radio 1040 WHO.
Right now, I wanted to keep on the mental health train a little bit. We're joined right now by Dr. Marie Cosgrove. She is a mental health advocate and resilience expert. By the way, also an author, Dr. Marie Cosgrove. Thanks so much for the time today.
Thank you. Honored to be here.
Okay, so with that being said, the youth of America for a couple of school years was really affected greatly by the pandemic and whether or not they were even able to be in the classroom, be at school, take part in their extracurricular activities, and just be around their friends because of something that was completely held out of their control. Many school districts also had a variety of rules about the way that school was going to be held. But now as we're moving forward, what are ways that kids might be struggling a little bit more now, and has there been, studies or people noticing that there is a little bit more of a struggle now for the youth of America than there was pre-pandemic?
Well, there certainly is. I just actually got done speaking for a huge district-wide, and we had so many students thanking me for going up there, for being vulnerable. And a lot of students are still wearing masks. So they're still afraid to take those masks off while it's not required. They're still wearing them. And a lot of the things that we still see, because everyone goes through challenges, and a lot of things that we still see is a lot of these kids have self-confidence issues. They have difficulty adapting to change. And a lot of these kids come from single-parent homes, and we've sort of dropped the ball there with kids in single-parent homes, even from kids who come from two-parent households. A lot of times they feel neglected, they don't feel seen, they don't feel heard, and that leads to depression. Many times they don't talk about it because there's some stigma associated with it, or they don't want to seem like there's something wrong with them. We had one kid after, I was done speaking, he even said, I just took off my TikTok today. I took it off. I got rid of the app because I was so addicted to it that I wasn't having relationships with my family. I wasn't having relationships with my friends. So there is a huge issue. Suicide, we just asked the question, how many of you have thought of suicide? And almost the majority of the hands went up. So it is still an issue, even though pretty much COVID is gone.
I think
or not in people's mind. Not that it's gone, but it's not in people's minds anymore.
Right. But I think, you hit on something there, especially with the suicide and the bad thoughts and being addicted to apps and all of this stuff. And I feel like there's, older generations, not to throw anybody under the bus, has a hard time understanding why that is. And, it tries to come up with ways that the kids need to just toughen up, or parents need to toughen up their kids. But the schools, are seeing these kids for 6, 7, 8 hours a day, and maybe even more depending on extracurricular activities. Is there something the schools themselves can do to help monitor these kids, give them the tools that they need to be happy, and maybe give them an opportunity to feel like, maybe the social media needs to be moderated in some form, and give them an opportunity to maybe put their efforts and their energies into something else?
Absolutely. There certainly is, because a lot of schools, they focus on academia, they focus on sports, but they don't focus on the emotional well-being of the child. And I even had teachers come through. I had one teacher who became a teacher at the age of 40, and she says, if I had someone who came to my school and shared what you shared today, it would have made a world of a difference. And I had kids tell me this was life-changing, because we talked about being resilient, resiliency, being able to adapt, being able to take courage, to stand up when someone bullies you, or if you're a bully. I actually had a testimonial from one kid who said he was the bully, but he was coming from a place of low self-esteem, no confidence, single-parent home, no dad. I came from a single-parent home, no dad as well. So when they see someone like me who's able to be vulnerable and share these things with them, they can relate. And a lot of times, especially in schools, the teacher, everybody's perfect. We don't have any problems. We portray this image of we're strong and we're courageous. You could still portray that image, but it's okay to share, hey, I've gone through this and I made it through. You're going to go through challenges, but you can make it through too. And they need to know that they can make it through, that no, life is not perfect, and that they do have someone that they can turn to when they do have adversity or they're facing some challenge that they feel it's too difficult for them to overcome. Because what happens is they keep it inside, and then it becomes overwhelming for them that they quit school, they start failing, or, worse, they start thinking about suicide and destructive behaviors.
Speaking with Dr. Marie Cosgrove, she's a mental health advocate and resilience expert and award-winning speaker and author. I think the next question for me is, when I was going through school, which wasn't really all that long ago, I graduated from high school just over a decade ago, and then went to college, and there was still really the traditional guidance counselor that was there to help you out. And they were not just there to help any problems that you had in school. They were also there to make sure that you had your college stuff organized, and make sure that you had everything that you needed for your extracurricular activities, and make sure that your schedule was good at high school and all that stuff. But have we gotten to a point where we need to normalize maybe a little bit more of a traditional therapist type of counselor available to kids on a regular basis to help out with this?
Absolutely. I think that definitely should be done, as well as providing more resources to teachers themselves on, if they see anything. A lot of times we have this myth that if the kid is happy and they have lots of friends, they have absolutely no problems, they're fine. And that's not necessarily the case. So they need to be trained as to what are the signs to look for. Where do I send these kids to? Who should talk to them? And what should I say, not say, and things of that nature, so they don't alienate these kids either way, and so that they know that there are resources available for the student. So that would be so important if kids had those resources easily available. And as some schools do, but it's needed more. And like the school district, what they found is they said, we need to make this district wide. It can't be just for one high school. This needs to be available for the entire district. And I've done that where I go to speak to a school, and then the superintendent comes in and he's like, no, we need the entire district. And then I met with a regional director. He says, we actually need this for the entire region. So they are recognizing it. They see the need. And so there are school districts that are starting to reach out and to implement changes.
Dr. Marie Cosgrove, she is a mental health advocate and resilience expert, and also an award-winning speaker and author of Greater Fortune, Essential Lessons from the Entrepreneur Who Bought the Company That Fired Her. Thanks so much, Marie, for all of the action and the information today.
Thank you.